Hi everybody and welcome to another show and tell video. My name is Megan and I am the face behind Toe Creations. This is a little video series that I do for my grandma to show her all the crafty things that I've been working on. In most cases that is knitting, crocheting, sometimes sewing, sometimes yarn dyeing, but today we are adding something else to the mix, so more on that later. So as always, we're just going to dive on into things, and we're going to start off by talking about the last video. I think it's been about 2 months. I was busy making messy bun beanies in the last video, and that held true for the first probably month. I made about 4 of them in 4 different colors. So the pattern that I had been working on was the Copycat Colorado Chick beanie. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and the pattern includes both directions for a closed beanie, like a regular hat, and also the open messy bun style. It's a very easy pattern. I strongly recommend it. So, I have the hiccups. So if you'd like to see any of the ones that I've made, they're all listed, I believe, individually on my Ravelry project pages. So that was what I was busy working on in the first half of the month. And then we'll just stick with knitting since we're already talking about it. My next finished project are my socks. These are the first finished pair of socks I've ever made. So I'm really proud of these. This is, I should have washed them. I have worn these. This is Knit Picks Felici in the color Witch's Brew. It's just a straight up vanilla sock. I did a Kiss the Partridge heel, which is a pattern by Shauna Stitches here on YouTube. I believe she is Shauna Woods on Ravelry. And then I did just the Judy's Magic Cast On and Jenny's Stretchy Bind Off. 2.75 millimeters, 72 stitch sock. I love them. They are so soft and so comfortable. I'm really proud of them being my first pair of socks. So that was one finished project. Another finished project was more of a necessity make, really. I needed some dishcloths. I was down to one dishcloth that had a huge gaping hole in the middle, and so I sat down to knit some dishcloths. So this is the first one I did, which I couldn't make a square dishcloth, I think, if my life depended on it. It always comes out a parallelogram. Like, you can distinguishly see where I cast on and where I bind off. So, but the other 2 corners are perfectly rounded. But this is just some yarn I got from Walmart. It's just like a peaches and cream kind of a deal. I don't remember the colorway, but I do have a project page. This was done in a 6 millimeter. It is Grandma's dishcloth. Gramma's, Grammas. It's like what everyone's doing right now. That one, free pattern. I did mine without the holes in it. And like I said, this was a 6 millimeter needle that I used. I don't like straight needles, so I did it on a circular, and it turned out too dense for me. So I knit some other dishcloths on a 4.5, and I love it way more than I did this one. So these 2 were knit for my mom. She called me one day and just nonchalantly mentioned that she needed some dishcloths. So I was like, okay. So this is the first one I did. Again, another parallelogram. This was a size 7 US, so 4.5 millimeters. And as you can see, there is a lot more drape with this, not so rigid and stiff. This yarn is Hobby Lobby's. I love this yarn, I love this cotton. It's such a beautiful colorway, but it has such a lame name. It's like purple, pink, green, or switch those colors around. So that's one, and then I did another one in this purpley color. So these will be gifted to her this weekend. She can have 2 new dishcloths. I think she was in the same boat I was. She was down to like 1 or 2 dishcloths and they both had holes in them. So I think I need to kind of stock up on these so I can start handing them out to all the family. So, so yeah, so that was my dishcloths, and that's all my knitting finished objects. I have 1 crocheted finished object, and that is a baby blanket. So my brother got a hold of me, and 2 of his college buddies are both expecting kids. I think it's their first, actually, their first babies. So he wanted them done in the college colors, which was Northwestern University, which is purple, black, and white. And so the first one I made is right here. So this is just a block stitch blanket, and I just kind of alternated the colors. I just carried the yarn up the side and then covered it up with the border. See the border? The border I did is just a simple, I think I did 4 rows of single crochet. I did 1 row of black, 1 row of purple, and 2 rows of white. As always, 3 in the corner. So I think it turned out really cute. The family that is getting this blanket, they don't know what the gender of the baby. I think they're keeping it a secret. So I think this blanket will be cute for either a boy or a girl. So it's roughly about, it's probably about 30 inches by 35 inches. I usually like to make my baby blankets 32 by 36, but I did the math wrong. Like, I did it a different way where it shrunk a lot more than I anticipated. So I just went with it. So out of the 2 friends, I have the first blanket done. The second blanket, they are expecting a little baby girl. So the pattern I chose for this one is the Floral Dreams blanket. Maybe kind of looks like, can't see, looks like that. It's not a very big picture, but it's by Deanne Ramsay. It's a paid for pattern, and it's really cute the way that the stitch pattern, it looks like rows of flowers basically. So I'll be doing the same colors, black, white, and purple, and then I'll also be adding like a light lavender color into it. So I think it's gonna look really pretty. So I tried to make this blanket, oh gosh, a couple years ago using Karen Simply Soft, and I actually ended up not liking it. Not the pattern, but just the yarn chosen for it. I didn't think the yarn was a good choice for the pattern. It wasn't working out the way that I was hoping it would. So instead of changing the yarn, I just changed the pattern, and you know, but I'm going to try it again with, I guess I should have mentioned this was Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, acrylic. So there's that. And that is all my finished objects over the last 2 months. So I have a few whips, which they're not really active whips, I should say. What do I want to start with first? I guess this one. So I had mentioned in my last video that I was making a hat for my dad. I was making a go-to watch cap. Looks like that. I had started on it but didn't get very far. Yeah. I mean, I have like an inch, probably like an inch made, and I have to go like 11 inches. Like, this is gonna take a while. I had started this, and then I had to put it on pause and make all those messy bun beanies. It used the same size needles, so I kind of had to put my little stoppers on it and kind of put this on the waiting line. So instead of, it might be a birthday gift for him. His birthday's in December, so it's finally starting to come into spring, hopefully. So now I have plenty of time to get this done, right? So I have that one on the needles. My next work in progress. I never show my bags. Do you guys want to see my bags? This is holding my dad's hat. It's a chicken bag I made. I love this print. The inside is like a bandana print. It's a zipper. There you go. This bag is my Wonder Woman bag. It's got polka dots on the inside. I've made all my bags just practicing, and I just make my own bags. So in this big bag, I started my Bendy arrow shawl. I'm not gonna lie, I did not get very far into this at all. So don't be expecting anything miraculous. So I started this as part of my Carpe Diem make along. I've never knit a shawl before. As I stated before, I always got, oh, what's the word? I always doubted myself, I guess. I wouldn't get very far into the pattern, and I always ripped it out. I never felt like it was looking right, and I just never trusted the pattern or me when making them. And so I just got frustrated, and I would never make them. So after ripping this out 3 times, I finally talked myself into, you know, to quit doing that and to keep going with it. And this little guy right here is the longest I've ever knit a shawl. So this is really saying something. So this is all this is all I have. But as little as it looks, I am so proud of this little sliver of a shawl. So as a reminder, I'm doing it, this is all out of my hand-dyed yarn. So I'm doing it in Frostbite, which it's going to start glaring now. Frostbite, and then these two. Oops. This is Sea Mist, and I think, I'll have to look, I think this might be charcoal. I think it's charcoal. So, and I am knitting this on my Chow Goose. This is a 3.25 millimeter, or a US size 3. So we'll see. I hope to work on this sometime soon. I still really want to make it, but it's just one of those projects that's kind of been pushed to the wayside to, you know, finish up other things. So my last project, I've been working on my my scrappy socks. I started a pair of scrappy socks for the Woolberry Fiber Co. Sock along. I didn't get them done in time, which I knew I wouldn't, but I still wanted to you know, play along. So this is the first sock I have done. I am doing an afterthought heel, so I have it marked. So this is my first sock. This is done out of Knit Pick Stroll. I had received all these colors for Christmas from my mom, so I just took a little bit out of those and did rows of 16, 8, and then 16, 8, and just alternated like that. These were done 72 stitch on a 2.5 millimeter. I was trying that out. Same thing with Judy's Magic Cast On, Jenny's Stretchy Bind Off. I believe I did a 1x1 twisted rib for the cuff. So there's the first sock done, well, minus the heel. And then I am about a color block away from turning the heel on the second sock. So I've been just kind of working on these sporadically in the pickup line at school. I'm really in no hurry to get them done. It's just something it's kind of what I keep in my bag. You know, if I go somewhere, that's what I take with me. So that's that. So those are the different projects that I've been working on. I do have a few, purchases, I guess. So back in February, we had our girls' crafty weekend getaway. So I think I've talked about this before on the videos, but basically once a year, My mom, me, my sister, and my sister-in-laws, we all get together. We go rent a cabin down south, and we have a crafty weekend getaway, which is basically us locked up in a cabin, in pajamas, 24/7, eating, watching movies, and doing nothing but crafting. So I brought my knitting with me. My mom, she worked on a quilt. She's a quilter. My sister and my sister-in-law, they were making cards. And so it was a blast. It was so much fun. And so while I was down there, I also there's a couple craft stores that I go to when I hit that part of town. And so one was Joann's, just because their Joann's is so much bigger than mine. And I found this color for my husband to make socks. It is Patton's Croy, and the color is Blue Brown Marl. I have several colorways for my husband for socks, but I didn't have any that were like shades of blue. So I got that for him. And then I also stopped by the local yarn shop down there and got some West Yorkshire, I think I said it wrong last time, West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. This color is Nutmeg, and I was looking for a color for toes, heels, and cuffs for the pheasant colorway that I had got last time I was down there. So I got that for him. So out of the last like 2 months, the only yarn purchases I've made is for my husband. So, and going along with that, since I plan on making him socks, I felt it was necessary to get him his own sock blockers. So I did. I had them custom made from KnittingLeft, which is where I had bought my sock blockers. So I messaged her and sent her some ideas that I had for what I was looking for, and she and her husband made it happen. So this is what they look like. I cannot tell you how much I love these. So my husband is an avid bird hunter. So we've got a pheasant down here. We have a grouse. And then we have a hunter and his hunting dog. So we have 2 hunting dogs, Gertie and Gracie, and Birdie. If you don't know what Birdie means, Birdie is like when your dog gets like just on it, like on the scent, and just goes bird crazy. They're getting Birdie. So that's what that is on there. So I've got 2. I absolutely love them. Actually, my husband loves them too. He even mentioned he'd like to hang them on the wall because they look so nice. So once I get going on his socks, which I don't know when that'll be, hopefully soon, I'll have something to block them on. So before we get into the new hobby that I apparently have picked up, I want to mention a few things about the shop. I know in the last video I had mentioned some things I was working on, and I have a, what is this called? A mini skein set. Sorry for the crinkling. It's called Make the Rainbow. It's got these pretty colors. So I have a couple of these left in the shop. They're 20 grams each. And where's the other one? And I also have, this was my Valentine's colorway that I did up. And there's a few of these left. And this is called Love Bug. So it's just speckles of like pink and purples. I believe they're on my Surefoot base, which is the merino nylon blend. 75/25. And I also have, I ended up putting some stitch markers in the shop. I'm not gonna really, well, I tried showing these earlier to see if they would even show, and they glared way too much. I want to try again. Well, I guess you can. I'll try holding some of these up. So I've got little jack-o'-lanterns. I have these teardrop ones, which if you guys don't want these, that's completely fine with me because I want them all. This one's purple. It's kind of hard to tell, but I have a bunch of different colored ones. That one, I've got some, oh, I know St. Patrick's Day has come and gone, but I have some St. Patrick's ones. So I have like the clover and a hat. I also have like a leprechaun, some sunflowers, some owls. I have some Christmas ones. Let's see if I can pull some of these out that have like Rudolph, and there's a gingerbread man, maybe, he's kind of glaring. And there's a Santa Claus, an elf, a present. So if any of those strike your fancy, there's better pictures of them on my Etsy shop. As far as size wise, some of them have two different sizes. The big size, they can fit up to a US 7, which is the 4.5 millimeter, and then the smaller ones can fit up to a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. So those would be listed on the site there. And there's a few that are progress keepers. They have the lobster clasp on them. So I don't have too many of those made right now, but if for some reason you want one and there's not one listed, you can just message me and I can probably make you one. So have those in the shop. And what else? Well, I think it's time. Grandma, I've started a new hobby because apparently I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough keeping me busy. So I picked up cross stitching. Now, for those of you who are not my grandma, one of the memories I have of my grandma growing up is watching her cross stitch. She used to cross stitch a lot. I don't think she does anymore. But I remember going over to her house and she had her spot on the couch that was next to the end table with the lamp, you know, and she'd always have some, I always remember them being like houses, like, I couldn't tell you the pattern or anything about it, but there was always a house and a yard and, you know, that kind of thing. But they were just always so pretty. And so I just grew up watching her cross stitch all the time. Well, I guess I'll tell my cross stitch story. It's not a really big one. It's not really interesting by any means, but I guess I do kind of have one. So I was young. I was probably between 6 and 10 years old. So we'll just say 8. And I was at my cousin's house. And she lived on a farm. And her grandma lived about 2 doors down. And I don't know why we were there. But we ended up at her grandma's house. And she was either watching us or we were driving her crazy. It was one of the two, as kids do. And so she took us in the back bedroom and she sat on the bed and she gave us a hoop with some fabric and a needle, and she taught us how to make the X's, how to cross stitch. So she sent me home with the hoop, and I remember stitching a little pattern, and it had 3 baby blocks, like in a triangle, and they said ABC, and I think it had a little teddy bear on it. And so I stitched that, and I don't remember what happened to it, and honestly, I don't remember stitching much after that. I remember keeping all the floss and making tons of friendship bracelets out of it, but I don't remember really stitching much. I probably didn't pick it up again until I was in college, and I only stitched one picture. There was an illustration that I liked, and again, I don't remember what it was called, and I printed it out on graph paper and made my own little stitch chart, and I stitched that. It wasn't like for a project or anything. It was just something I did for fun, and again, I don't know what happened to it. And after that, I never really picked it up again. And so, you know, years go by, and I was just looking at Instagram, as it instigates us all to do, and I noticed some of the ladies that I had talked to were cross stitching, and something about it just ignited this fire inside, and it wasn't like, oh, I want to try to cross stitch. It was just like this overpowering passion, like, yes, I need to cross stitch. So I went to Hobby Lobby and Joann's and Walmart and looked around, looked on Amazon, and I just couldn't find a pattern that I wanted. I couldn't find a pattern that I could see myself gifting someone I knew, and none of the patterns really looked like anything I would hang in my house. So that was kind of disheartening, I guess, kind of a buzzkill. But then my friend Shauna from Farm Girl Knits, she told me to look on Etsy, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I got on there, and like the downward spiral into cross stitching began. So I found two patterns. They are from Lucky Star Stitches, and I would recommend her patterns any day. So the first one that I picked up was this Merry Christmas one. I felt it was simple, simple enough at least for a beginner like me, someone who was trying to figure out if cross stitch was really something that I wanted to pursue. So, hold on. I'm tucking in all the edges. Dun, da, da, da. Isn't it cute? I really like how it came out. If there was one thing I would do over, it would be to darken up the Ada cloth next time. This is on 14 count, and it's on ivory, and holding the floss up to it, I thought the white would pop more than it does. And after I started making it, I realized it doesn't. So I want to make it again and darken like tea dye or coffee dye the Ada next time to make it darker. I'm not going to get too awful close because it's kind of a train wreck when you really look at it. And there's no way I'm showing you the back. That just, no way. So I got about a fourth of the way into it and realized that I wasn't matching the legs of my stitches. So like they weren't all going the right way, like the same way throughout the piece or whatever. So I was too far in to go back and fix it. So I just, whatever. So I just continued on doing what I was doing and would not do that next time. But all in all, for not having cross stitch for, 25 or more plus years, I think it's super cute. And it turns out I really enjoyed it. I really liked doing it. So that brings me to my next one that I'm working on right now, which is another Lucky Star Stitch pattern. I should have had this out for you. Hold on. So it's like the same concept, but this one is Halloween. So, sorry, I am not ready here. So here's what I have done so far. So not very far. It's getting there though. But again, I really enjoy working on this. So I instead of buying yarn, I have been kind of getting some cross stitch supplies. So what have I been getting? So the first thing I got was, let me put it back together because I took it apart to get my pattern out here. So the first thing I got is a pattern holder. This one's from Knitter's Pride. It looks like this. It snaps open. It has a pocket with a pen, and I'm not going to show it too close because of the pattern, but this is a magnet board, and it comes with some magnets, and you can snap it to where it kind of sits up like an easel. You can take it on the go. So, what's it called? Knit Picks sells something very similar to, actually I think it's the same thing, but it's a smaller size. So their smaller size is, well, I don't have it on here. It doesn't say it. This is a large size. I got this from Amazon. So this will hold a full-size sheet of paper. The small size, which I believe Knit Picks carries, is a half sheet. So you'd have to fold it in half. And I didn't want that. So overall, I'm very, very pleased with this. It's very nice to have. It keeps everything neat and just kind of easy to follow. I've been using it for cross-stitch patterns, but I'll also use it once I learn how to knit cables and stuff. I think that'll come in handy as well, keeping everything just kind of nice and neat and put together. So this was, I considered, a cross-stitch purchase. I also have purchased these. I know, I'm sure everyone's seen these little mesh bags. I first heard about these watching a Flosstuber. Yes, I started watching Flosstube because I am apparently all about cross-stitching now. And Pretty Southern was talking about hers. She had got hers from the Container Store. And I don't have a Container Store near me, but I got on Amazon and was looking, and I got a pack of 10 of these for like $9, which I was gonna make my own bags, but I mean, I couldn't even make a bag for, you know, $1. So I ended up ordering these, and it was a pack of 10. They come in different colors. There's like yellow, blue, red, green, and some, you know, clear ones. And I really like them. They hold a lot of stuff. They'll hold the, you know, a full size sheet of paper and you know, my whole project. Oh, I got a needle minder, which I really like. I got that one from Etsy. I think I have her card here. Her card is, or her shop was Plan to Stitch. She's based out of the UK, I believe. I live in Indiana, and it took me about a month to get it. But I wasn't in any hurry, and I really like it. It's really pretty, actually. It's smooth. So, like, it's not like glitter poured on top of something, like it's inside. So, I was kind of happy about that. I was kind of afraid for a minute that if I touched it, you know, it'd get glitter everywhere, but it's not like that at all. So those are the two patterns that I have been actively working on. And now that I know that I like cross stitch, and it's, you know, the whole thing is just kind of funny how it happened, because it just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere, but also at the same time, my wrist started acting up. It started aching really bad when I would knit, and it's like I needed to take a break from it. And I'm the kind of person that I just can't sit still. Like, I gotta do something. And so it's almost like it's perfect timing that this desire came about, because I had to kind of tone down the knitting and the crocheting because my wrist was hurting so bad. And so it's exactly what I needed. And my wrist has been feeling a lot better lately. My shoulders have been feeling a lot better lately. Sometimes when I crochet, especially making the blanket where I'm crocheting for kind of like long periods of time, for some reason I can't crochet with my shoulders down and my elbows down. Like, I can knit that way, but for some reason when I crochet, like, my elbows kind of bow out, and I'm all like, ugh, I'm gonna turn into like a little scrunched up thing, and I just start to get sore after a while. So this is a nice little break to have. And so now that I know that I really like cross stitching and I want to pursue it, I bought more patterns. And it's nothing like this. Like, I went from like one extreme to the other. Like, there is no middle ground. It's either it's either you're going to start off and then it's like you're 100% in. So I've bought, what, let's see, five patterns already, and I'm going to be buying one more probably today or tomorrow. And like 4 out of the 5 are full coverage, like huge pieces. Like I don't even know what's going on. One lady on Instagram, I had showed her, and she's like, whoa, go big or go home. And I'm like, yeah. So I'll show you the toned down one. I'm going to be working on, I'm going to finish the Halloween one and then work on these two kind of together. The first, does it have who it's by? I got it off Etsy. I don't see who it's by. Did I write it down? Yes, CountryMagicStitch on Etsy. It says, but first coffee. And it comes with another pattern that says, but first tea. But I'm going to make the coffee one. And I'm going to hang it by my coffee maker. And I'll probably end up making one for everyone in my family. I think it's really pretty. So that's the first one that I'm going to work on. That's more of the toned down one. And then this monstrosity I'm about to show you is another one I'm going to be working on. This one's going to take forever. I don't know what I was thinking on this one. To give you an idea, there are 79 colors in this picture. Oh my God. What? I'm going to cross stitch this. Can you believe that? Can we first just talk about how gorgeous this is? So this is a pattern I bought from icrossstitchpattern off of Etsy. And I was totally drawn to it because, one, I have so many little nieces that are princess, you know, Disney princess crazy, that I could easily make this and gift it to somebody. But I absolutely love the stained glass look of this, and I've just never seen anything like it. I just think it's adorable. So what I plan on doing is, instead of making this whole picture like one big giant picture, is I'm going to split it up and do each princess individually. If you look in the pattern, they're kind of already blocked off anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead and do them each differently, or I'm sorry, each separately. And then kind of finish them individually, and then you can, and then either split them up between my nieces, or, you know, give two here, 2 there, you know. I'll figure it out. Obviously, I'm going to have plenty of time to think about it, because there's no way this is going to be done anytime soon. The pattern is like 42 pages long. And what makes it worse, I don't want to say worse because that sounds bad. My husband offered to print it out for me because he had access to a nicer printer than what we have here at home. And he did, but he printed them double-sided. Like any other time, I'm all for double-sided printing, but I wanted to lay the pattern out on the floor so that I could see where, you know, where my lines were going to be to split everything up. And now that everything's double-sided, it's going to be kind of tricky, but I'll figure it out. So I really want to start on this now, but I got to get that other baby blanket done. So I'll probably force myself to leave it alone until I get the other baby blanket done. I have to have that blanket done by May. So just a little bit longer, right? Just a little bit longer. So, gosh, I think that's everything. Oh, you want to see my scissors? Aren't those not beautiful? So I needed a sharp pair of scissors, apparently. They're so sharp, the ends are so pointy that I keep them here at the house, because if I put them in any type of bag, they'll just poke a hole in the bag. So that is it. That's everything. So adding cross stitch to the list, I guess. But that's okay. I'm loving every minute of it, right? So, one last thing before I let you go. I promise this is the last thing. But I have to do some shameless promotion here. And that's for my sister. My sister, Kim, has finally opened up an Etsy shop. And, you know, I just gotta say something because I'm so excited. So my sister was the one who pushed me to open my Etsy shop. I think I've said before, when I was learning to crochet, every time I made something, I would take a picture and send it to her. And every time she would reply with the same message. She would say, so when are you opening your Etsy shop? So now, you know, a couple years later, I'm doing it to her. So she sends me pictures of cards that she makes, and I'm like, so, okay, so when are we, you know, posting this in your shop? Well, she finally caved in and she did it. So her shop name, I want to make sure I say this right, is Stamped For You Cards on Etsy. I'll write it here on the screen. And I encourage everyone, if you have a minute, to at least go look at it and see the cards that my sister's been making. I personally think they're beautiful. I don't think I've seen cards like hers out there before. And again, I might be biased, but she does. She just has beautiful cards. And so if you have time, go take a look. Drop her a message, say hello, do something. So, but yeah, that's about it for me. So if you'd like to follow me elsewhere, I'm Toe Creations on Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram's what I'm most active on. And as always, Grandma, I love you. I miss you. Stud, if you're in the background, hello. I miss you and love you too. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.